Okay today, but let's take a little trip 5 years into the future. You're faced with funeral expenses for your loved one. You've got paperwork and logistics and scheduling, a lot of hassle. But a little forward thinking now can save you a lot of heartache later. It's easier than you think. We're Brown Funeral Homes, family owned, in business for over 135 years. Think smart, think ahead. Brown Funeral Homes, Martinsburg, Inwood, and Charlestown, Ranson.
We have the tools, we have the talent. It's Miller time.
It's Miller time on Talk Radio WRNR. A look at local sports with the play-by-play voice of local sports, Matt Miller.
And a very pleasant Tuesday evening to all the listeners out there. Matt Crawford here with you in the Talk Radio WRNR studios. Matt Miller on his summer vacation out for the week doing some uncharacteristic summer vacation things. He's doing like housework. I know, what a weirdo. But the show must go on. I'm going to get you from your 5 o'clock hour to your 6 o'clock hour for the rest of the week here on Talk Radio WRNR. We're going to start the show the same way we did yesterday, going straight to the WVU Medicine Berkeley Medical Center talk lines. We're going to bring in Eric Zimney of Charlestown Races. We're going to close out the Triple Crown and talk about what a phenomenal Triple Crown it was. Eric, good evening.
Good evening. Who does housework on their summer vacation?
You know, I've told him that several times, and he told me he was taking the week off. So I asked him what he was doing, and he said, "Oh, I got some stuff to do around the house, so I'll probably work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 most days, just doing stuff around the house." I said, "That's not a vacation."
Well, yeah, basically, not only is he not like relaxing and going to the beach, he's actually doing something more strenuous than he would be if he was at work. So, yeah, wow. All right.
Yeah, Matt Miller beats to his own drum.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's talk about the Triple Crown. Justify becomes the 13th member of this prestigious group, and what a race it was for Justify.
It was incredible. It was a great performance. Like we talked last week about with all of the racing in such a short time frame, catch up to him, because if you had watched his race in the Preakness, it was not as visually impressive as the Derby. His speed figures, that you get assigned in each race, were going down over the last several races. But man, when I saw him in the paddock, he looked like a picture of mental and physical health, where he was, he looked as good or better than he did before the Derby. I mean, he kept his weight on. He didn't look listless or anything. I mean, he looked like he was ready to run, and that performance he put on was something special.
You talked to us last week, and you said his Preakness run was impressive, but the Justify's Derby, he was getting faster as the race went on, and I think he duplicated that with the Belmont as he pulled away late from the pack.
Well, I mean, he ran faster as the race went on, but I mean, his opening quarter mile in the Belmont was 23 seconds and change, which for going a mile and a half is incredibly fast. I mean, he set the pace, and he was really steady around there. The mile and a half probably played right into his hands as it turned out. And I can't underscore how big of an accomplishment it is. I on these shows, whenever people ask me to come on, I always assume they're either just regular sports fans, not racing fans, or not even, just kind of base sports fans, and try to come up with some human analogy to give it some context. And when I was thinking about the achievement in this case of going from unraced to undefeated Triple Crown winner in 110 days, I can't come up with anything. That's how unique this is.
That's pretty impressive considering all the accomplishments you can make in sports. Justify just 3 years after American Pharoah, but it had been a lengthy time, and looking before the Triple Crown, before that, all the way back to 1978. And looking back, and this may just be a coincidence, but looking back through all the 13 Triple Crowns, it kind of went in stages. You look back in the 30s and 30 to 37, there was three Triple Crowns, and 41 to 49, there was 4 Triple Crowns. In the 70s, 3 more, and now here in the 2010s, there's 2 more. So is that just a coincidence, or was there something about horses in all of those eras that made them that good?
I don't know. I mean, I would be hard-pressed to chalk it up to anything but coincidence. There's always stallions producing good horses from era to era, so they've tended to come in bunches. Like you said, 73, 77, 78, those were the last kind of cluster, and now we've got 2 and 3 years. So, maybe we'll see another one next year. Who knows?
Obviously, Secretariat, the most well-known Triple Crown, but American Pharoah, well-known with this generation because of how recent it was. Where does Justify rank on this list the list of 12 other 13 Triple Crown winners?
Look, his Belmont performance was nowhere near Secretariat's. I would never say that. As far as like the accomplishment and the way he did it, it's got to be close to the top because as far as talent goes, I don't know if we can even really fairly evaluate Justify fully yet because I want to see what this horse does on a more normal schedule. With more normal rest between races, taking 5-6 weeks between starts like horses of today normally do at that top level. He may have been a slightly tired horse by the end. Who knows? And I hope we get to see him on the track the rest of the year. I mean, there's certainly a chance that we don't, but if we do, and he's able to move forward, like physically he looked like he was going to be able to, he has a chance to be included in the highest of the high echelons.
Well, if I was breeding this horse, it would not be racing anymore. It would be doing anything else other than racing. $75 million was just announced to breed Justify. Is that? I assume that's the highest of any horse ever?
It is, not by as much as you'd think. It is the highest. I think, I've seen bonus money for him winning on Saturday reported anywhere between, 15 and 25 million of that 75 being due to his win on Saturday. But I don't know the deal. There's a different entity who's going to be breeding the horse versus the one who's racing it, of course. The one's racing it, of course. I don't know who's going to be left with that decision-making power at the end of the day with American Pharoah, who was actually sold to the same entity that Justify was sold to, an outfit called Coolmore, based in Lexington, the Southern Hemisphere, and in Europe. American Pharoah raced a few times after he won the Triple Crown, so hopefully we'll get to see another few more starts from Justify.
All right, before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about your home track in Charlestown and what's going on with the races throughout the summer.
Sure, we've got live racing 3 nights a week here for the rest of the summer, and we transition. You'll start to see some of the good West Virginia bred, so you'll see in the West Virginia Breeders' Classics, which is actually in October this year, on October 13th, October 6th, I believe. And we'll have the race for the ribbon coming up on September 22nd. That's our second graded stakes race. It's a race for 3-year-old fillies, and we'll also have some great breast cancer awareness, research and care events on the track designed to raise some money for the West Virginia Breast Health Initiative. So some really cool events for our fans coming up here in the second part of the year. And, please come out onto the track Thursday through Saturday night from now through September.
Well, Eric, we appreciate the time you've given us over the last month and change, and we look forward to keeping up with what's going on down in Charlestown the rest of the year.
No, I love doing it. Thanks, Matt.
Eric Zimney again from Charlestown Races, and just can't get over Justify's Triple Crown. That Belmont, what we saw from the Preakness and Justify, it was a good race. It was a race that you expected Justify to win. But then the Belmont, when Justify comes out and is not favored by, I don't think, anyone, and to have the race that he had and holding off Gronkowski, who came up late on him, and Gronkowski was a good 5 or 6 lengths behind the entire pack for the majority of the race. And then the closing speed of Gronkowski closing in on Justify, just a phenomenal race for another Triple Crown. Again, the second in the last 3 years. American Pharoah did it back in 2015. And I still just think it's an awfully interesting coincidence, I should say. Looking back at the 13 Triple Crown winners, you have 2 in the 2010s. That was American Pharoah and Justify, the most well-known of this generation, pretty much, just because of the gap going back to 1978, which was the last Triple Crown winner before American Pharoah. But again, from 73 to 78, there was 3, including Secretariat, the most famous Triple Crown winner of all time. Then there was a big gap before 73 and Secretariat, and there was 4 between 1941 and 1948. Go back 1941, go a couple years before that, 35 and from 30, 35, and 37, there was 3 Triple Crown winners, and that was after the first Triple Crown winner, Sir Barton, back in 1919. So I just think it's an awfully interesting coincidence when you look at the history of the Triple Crown and watching the years and the time span, not only for when the Triple Crowns were achieved, but the gap in between when all the Triple Crowns were achieved. I just thought that was a real interesting fact when I was looking it up earlier. I found those stats on ESPN. Again, $75 million if you want to breed from Justify. That's a large chunk of change to get a horse that was originally bought for $500,000. $500,000 is a pretty big chunk of change, but the return value of at least $75 million for the breeding fee on top of all the winnings that it's had from this Triple Crown, that is a pretty good investment for whoever owns Justify. All right, we got to get in our first break. When we come back, we will talk some Washington Capitals hockey. Yes, we're still going to talk about this because today was a big day in the district as the Capitals' victory celebration, the Parade of Champions, as they called it down in D.C., was held on the National Mall today, and what a scene it was. We'll have reactions from the players, the coaches, and owner, Ted Leonis, when we come back on Miller Time.
Human trafficking is modern-day slavery, and it happens in our own communities. Victims can be any gender, age, or race. Join the Department of Homeland Security's Blue Campaign to learn how to recognize and report this heinous crime. Visit our website at www.dhs.gov/bluecampaign. That's www.dhs.gov/bluecampaign. Your second look could be their second chance.
The Mountaineers live on Talk Radio WRNR.
It's intercepted. Here's Kenny Robinson down the right sideline. It's going to be a foot race. He's at midfield. He's to the 40. Being pursued. He gets away to the 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. End zone. Touchdown. Kenny Robinson, 94-yard pick six.
Follow the Mountaineers all fall long on their quest for a Big 12 championship on your home for Mountaineer football. Talk Radio WRNR, the Panhandle Sports Radio station.
I'm Ari Wolf with NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Falcons announcing Monday that wideout Julio Jones will not be present for their mandatory 3-day minicamp while he is looking for a new contract. GM Thomas Dimitrov says conversation with Julio have been productive. The 29-year-old has 3 years remaining on his current deal. Raiders defensive end Khalil Mack is not expected to be at Oakland's mandatory minicamp as well and is also looking for a new contract. NFL Network Steve Weiss says Mack is looking for a deal with guarantees in excess of $65 million. And Odell Beckham Jr. is expected to be at New York's facility for minicamp. But according to the New York Post, the wideout is expected to be more of an observer than a participant this week while he waits for a new deal to get done. And according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski are not expected to be back in Foxborough for Patriots OTAs this week. Both Brady and Gronk are looking for new contracts before the start of the season. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Napa know-how. Your broken AC may not be broken. It may just need a recharge with the Avalanche AC Recharge Kit. Just $39.99 plus an additional $15 prepaid Visa card by mail. Just pull the trigger and purr. The Avalanche AC Recharge Kit. Now $39.99 plus $15 prepaid Visa card. Quality parts, helpful people. That's Napa know-how. Napa know-how. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Offer expires 6/30/18.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458. 800-481-1458 or visit biglou.com.
Possibilities are all around us. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action in communities all around the world. Together, we can make real change happen. We're Rotary. We are people of action. Get involved at Rotary.org.
Hello, this is Delegate Mike Folk, candidate for West Virginia Senate District 16. I want to extend my personal congratulations to all the Little League All-Stars this summer. As a former three-sport athlete and Shepherd football player, I understand the importance of discipline, hard work, and perseverance, something our All-Stars have in common. As you continue your journey through this summer and your life, remember this quote from Hall of Famer Jerry Rice, who said, "Today I will do what others won't, so tomorrow I can accomplish what others can't." Best of luck and have a great tournament.
I've had my share and kicks in my bed, but I've come through. On, we are the champions, my friends.
Welcome back into Miller Time. Matt Crawford here with you. Matt Miller out for the week on vacation. This is the song the Capitals and all what they predicted. 100,000 people in the victory parade were singing at the end. Conductor Alex Ovechkin led the entire crowd in this at the end of the parade. And what an exciting time for DC Sports. Had it on in the studio all day today, and just pure joy looking at all the players, all the members of the team that were there. Look at all the former members of the team, the broadcast team, and looking at all the fans that were just so excited to finally have another victory parade and another champion back in the District of Columbia. Phenomenal Stanley Cup Series. We've talked about it the entire time here on Talk Radio WRNR, me more than others, just because, again, I was the bigger Caps fan than Matt Miller. Some stats from the Stanley Cup before we hear from Ted Leonsis, the owner, and Barry Trotz, the head coach, in this half-hour segment. Braden Holtby, I think, was one of the key differences in this year's Stanley Cup. You look at the fact that he got rest going into the Stanley Cup playoffs, but I don't know if that was it. I think I'm sure it was nice having fresh legs in between the pipes, as other teams did not, but I still think it was a little bit of a shock to his system being benched. I mean, this was the guy that was supposed to come in and be the Capitals' savior and had been a phenomenal regular season goalie, but really had struggled in the playoffs, had really been one of the Achilles heels of the Capitals in the playoffs. This year in the playoffs, he comes in the middle of Game 2, loses Game 2, but he was already in a deep hole at that point. Philip Grubauer did not have his best stuff in the playoffs as he did at the end of the regular season. But Holtby finished with a 16-7 record in the Stanley Cup playoff. This was throughout the entire Stanley Cup. A 2.16 goal allowed average, so a little over 2 goals allowed each game. That's not too shabby at all. You're only giving up 2 goals a game. Odds are, with the offense the Capitals had, you were going to win a lot of games, which they did. And a 92 save percentage. Also pretty good when you're facing the best competition in the rest of the league for 4 straight rounds. Alex Ovechkin, a spring chicken this year. I mean, totally had a rebound year, ended up with 15 goals in the playoffs, 12 assists, 27 points, a Stanley Cup, and the MVP. I still hear people saying when they talk about him, one of the best goal scorers of our generation. That needs to be thrown out the window. He is the best goal scorer of this generation. And with the Stanley Cup final victory and the MVP, he's going down as one of the greatest goal scorers of all time. Anybody who wants to debate me on that, just look at the stats and look at what he's done and the way that he has done it throughout his career. I'm not going to say he's the best. Wayne Gretzky is still, in my opinion, the greatest goal scorer of all time. I'm not going to be that naive and just throw Ovechkin right in the number 1 spot. But he, with the Stanley Cup victory, shed the monkey off his back. And to me, and I think to a lot of other people, if you look at the stats, is one of the greatest goal scorers of all time now, not of this generation. Evgeny Kuznetsov, a phenomenal Stanley Cup, finished with 30 points. He could have very easily been the MVP of this series. Backstrom, a phenomenal playoffs. John Carlson, a phenomenal defensive playoffs. And TJ Oshie, just doing what he does, being consistent as always. Well, after the parade itself, there's a ceremony on the National Mall with red as far as the eyes could see. NBC covered it, was watching it throughout the day here in studio, and we were able to get some sound from it earlier. We're going to start with some reactions from the very top owner of the Washington Capitals, Ted Leonsis. Here's what Mr. Leonsis had to say to the crowd following the victory parade.
Big day, short speech. We put the unity in the community. We all agree on one thing. We have the greatest fans in the world, and now we have the greatest hockey team in the world. I am so proud of the love and respect that our community has shown each other and our franchise. All I've ever wanted to do is hold the mirror up to the people that we serve. And all I've seen reflected back is love. And that's what this is about. I love you so much. I know how much you love this city and these players. And now we have something that bonds us and unites us. A Stanley Cup championship.
You know what, Ted? We love you too. Again, just a phenomenal reaction from the fan base. And you could tell everybody that was down there and texting back and forth with some people today, it was just so refreshing. Not only to see the Capitals break through this barrier, but to see the city of D.C. just totally decked out in red and ready for a champion. Barry Trotz was the next to speak. So the mastermind of what you saw on the ice spoke to the crowd following the parade.
Hey, I just want to say a couple things. I'll keep it short. Number one, I love these guys and those guys that just ran to the washroom. I love them all. It takes a whole community. The great thing that I want to share with you is what we are. We're very diverse. We've got Americans, we've got Canadians, we got Swedes, we got Danes, we got Russians, we got Czechs, we got Australians, we got rookies, we got veterans, we got great people. It sounds just like DC and the community of DC. I know the years of adversity has sort of come to an end. We did this together and it feels so special. Really simply, I'm going to keep this short. Love this. Love the community. We're going to do it again, but I'm going to leave you with 4 words. I'm going to leave you with 4 words as I look at these beautiful monuments. You think of all the history behind me, in front of me, around the corner in this city. We made some history, but the 4 words that I want to leave you with, and I have to sort of paraphrase it from one of the greatest people, greatest Americans of all time. We had a dream, and we did it.
They did it. I thought it was real classy by Barry Trotz to know where he was and the place that he was giving that speech and bringing back the famous I Have a Dream speech, even though totally different circumstances. In certain ways, the thought was there and the thought counted, but just an amazing scene in D.C. today. And the streets were lined all around the National Mall. And it was just so refreshing to look at the streets of D.C. and see Stanley Cup championship banners everywhere after what this team had gone through, after what this city had really gone through, a 26-year drought for the nation's capital without a professional sports championship, unless, as one of our interns here pointed out today, you're a DC United fan and you count their MLS Cup championship, but I think you still got to stick with the major professional sports, and it had been since 1992, the 91 Redskins season that Mark Rippon led the Redskins to the Super Bowl, and that was the last time that this city could really celebrate the way they wanted to and welcome home a champion, and nobody deserves it more than Alex Ovechkin. We will hear from Alex Ovechkin when we come back from our bottom of the hour news and weather break, but he has been a kid in the candy shop. I mean, whether you saw the Jimmy Fallon show last night or whether you follow him on any sort of social media whatsoever, he has not let that cup out of his sight, and he doesn't deserve to. He has done everything he needed to throughout his career to go down as one of the greatest players in history, and this was really the finishing touch, the cherry on top, and he has finally gotten it. Again, after our bottom of the hour break, we will hear from the great it. We also will hear from Nicholas Backstrom, who has been there for the ride almost as long as Ovechkin has. Before we get into our bottom of the hour break, we want to remind you that this half hour was brought to you by the Washington Nationals, the Summer Sizzle package. Put some sizzle in your summer with a Nationals Summer Sizzle package. Get 3 summer Nats games tickets and a free Nats brand grill starting at just $39 per pack. Visit nationals.com for all the details. All right, we got to get in that bottom of the hour break. When we come back, we will stay with the coverage of Washington Capitals Stanley Cup hockey. You're listening to Miller Time on Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
CBS News special report. Ruling against the government, a federal judge is giving the go-ahead to the $85 billion merger of AT&T and Time Warner. Judge Richard Leon said the Justice Department failed to meet the burden of proof that the deal involving the largest U.S. pay TV operator and media entertainment giant would hurt competition. Dan Petruccelli is the lead attorney for AT&T.
We're disappointed that it took 18 months to get here. But we are relieved that it's finally behind us. And we look forward to closing this transaction.
CBS News business analyst Jill Snyder.
Plus, advocates are concerned that this deal could mean higher prices for non-AT&T customers who might have to pay more for their content that they love, like HBO or TBS and TNT.
An assistant U.S. attorney said they are disappointed by the court's decision. CBS News special report, I'm Pam Coulter.
Forecast. Weatherman Bob Kukin.
Evening temperatures hovering around the 70-degree mark as clouds continue to build in through the night. Our eventual early morning low back to about 62. Light southerly wind, warm and more humid for tomorrow. Chance of a couple of scattered showers here and there and maybe a later afternoon thunder shower too. Highest temperature near 85 degrees. Thursday and Friday, sunny and nice. Highs lower 80s. I'm Bob Kukin, Talk Radio WRNR.
With 4 new car dealerships and 4 used car dealerships in 3 states, Parsons is the largest used car and fastest growing new car dealer in the tri-state area. Take Parsons Ford with huge savings on hundreds of new Fords, financing from 0%. Parsons' goal of financing for all, and Parsons' famous above-market trade-in allowances that help make Parsons #1 for used cars too. See why so many won't buy anywhere but Parsons Ford in Martinsburg. We became #1 by making you #1 first. Parsons.
We're talking with Joe Ferretti of Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone. Joe, how do you hire a personal injury attorney?
Rob, we believe you should look for an attorney who has a good reputation and the results to match. Ask around. We have a history of success representing folks who live here. You'll be convinced that my law firm is the one to handle your personal injury claim. Call Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone at 264-8505 for a free review of your case. Or contact us online at hfslawyers.com. At Hammer, Ferretti, and Schiavone, reputation and results matter.
Your NBC Sports Radio update starts now.
More holdouts in the NFL, including David Johnson. He is set to make a shade under $1.9 million in his final year. He will not be going to the mandatory minicamp this week. Same going on for Taylor Lewin, the Titans left tackle, skipping it, set to earn about $9.5 million in the final year of his deal. He wants a long-term extension. Andrew Luck, good signs for him, was able to throw a football despite being high school size. It is all a very good day for him. Bills coach Sean McDermott says that Josh Allen will get some first-team reps during this week's minicamp, so also good news for the number 7 overall selection. Nick Nurse is now the Raptors head coach after spending time as the assistant coach. 15 games on the baseball slate tonight. For those scores and stories, head to NBCSportsRadio.com. I'm Keith Irizarry, and this is NBC Sports Radio.
With 4 new car dealerships and 4 used car dealerships in 3 states, Parsons is the largest used car and fastest growing new car dealer in the tri-state area. Take Parsons Ford with huge savings on hundreds of new Fords, financing from 0%. Parsons' goal of financing for all, and Parsons' famous above-market trade-in allowances that help make Parsons #1 for used cars too. See why so many won't buy anywhere but Parsons Ford in Martinsburg. We became #1 by making you #1 first. Parsons.
And we welcome you back into Miller Time, the final half hour of today's show. We will get back to the Capitals, followed by some Major League Baseball. Then remind you of a WVU baseball camp coming to Martinsburg tomorrow. We will re-air an informative interview that Matt Miller got a little bit earlier in the year. This segment of the show brought to you by Brown Funeral Homes and Cremations, Robert Fields and Sons, a family-owned full-service funeral home that has proudly served our area since 1880. All right, back to the Washington Capitals. Their Parade of Champions, as it was called today, flooded the streets of D.C. surrounding the National Mall, red as far as you could see, as you might expect after the first championship in 26 years for D.C. and the first in the 44-year history of the Washington Capitals. Nobody bigger than Alex Ovechkin. Nobody deserved this championship more than Alex Ovechkin. And again, if you've watched anything on any of these social medias that Alex Ovechkin has, I know I have, just to see what he's been doing with the Stanley Cup. I don't think he or a lot of the Capitals have been sober for 5 days now from what it looks like. It's just been a huge party for the 2018 Stanley Cup champions. Well, before we get to Alex Ovechkin, let's hear from one of the other big important members of this team, and it has been for almost as long as Alex Ovechkin, but kind of sits back in the limelight as he's not a overly talkative person, isn't going to do anything that makes your eyes jump out of your head like Ovechkin does. But the team franchise leader in assists, Nicholas Backstrom, took the podium today following them getting off the buses after the parade.
Thanks, guys. As a lot of other guys said, sorry for my voice, but it's been a rough couple of days, but awesome. I just want to thank all of you guys, and I mean, this is something we've dreamed of since we were kids, and to see you guys out there today celebrating with us, we're absolutely nothing without you guys, so thank you very much. And finally we start playing hockey like we can party, so that's a good thing.
And they have partied. I don't think the partying has stopped since tonight Ovechkin walked around the MGM in Las Vegas with the Stanley Cup. The partying has not stopped, and it certainly didn't today when they finally brought the cup home to D.C. All right, the man that everybody wanted to hear from. He's been so excited about this Stanley Cup, definitely the most excited person on the planet about the Stanley Cup, just for how long of a time it's been that he should have won this cup. Let's hear from the great eight himself. Oh, Captain, my captain, Alex Ovechkin.
He made it the People's Cup. He is the greatest goal scorer of this generation. He is your captain, and he's a Stanley Cup champion, Alex Ovechkin.
What's up, babes? My teammates love it, babes. You know, like Holtz threw me under the bus. Under the train, actually. Look at this. Look at this people who's here. You know, like you thought it's going to be crazy, but it's basically nuts. You know, like you guys killing it. You just bring for us, for our families, for our moms, dads, brothers, wives, kids, just happiness because they support as much as you are. They was all in, and we want to say thanks for our families and for you guys. Thank you very much, babes. Thank you, Ted Leonsis. Thank you, coaching staff. Thank you, GM, to bring this team together. And how Babe said, back to back, right?
TJ Oshie had made the reference earlier that instead of saying it's time to go get the cup and the "We Want the Cup" chant that became so famous throughout the Capital Stanley Cup run, that the new chant has got to be back-to-back. So that was what Ovechkin was referencing when he, in his very awesome broken English reference, the Oshie Babe reference that he had there. Again, nobody happier than Alex Ovechkin. I could talk about this for the rest of the month if you really wanted me to, but we're going to move on to what we hope is the next DC team to win a championship. If you believe that championships within a city are contagious, then you got to look at the Washington Nationals to be that next team. The Nationals playing more consistent baseball than they were at the beginning of the season, so heading in the right direction. They will start a series with the New York Yankees. They will go to the Bronx and face the Bronx Bombers, a 2-game series tonight and tomorrow night. You can hear both those games right here on Talk Radio WRNR. Pregame tonight is at 6:30 with a 7 p.m. first pitch. That duplicates tomorrow, again today and tomorrow. 6:30 pregames and 7 o'clock first pitch for the Nationals right here on Talk Radio WRNR. They will be in New York facing the Yankees. Friday, we will follow them to Toronto, where they will start a series against the Blue Jays. That will be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series. Day off Monday. I believe they have 3 straight Mondays off. Very weird with the scheduling, how that worked out. But 3 straight Mondays off. Monday, the 18th off following the Toronto Blue Jays series. And then the O's will go to D.C. for some interleague play, some Battle of the Beltway series. That will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. To round out next week, it's Little League All-Star Baseball. It is that time of year again. Matt Miller will have the call with you for your local Little League All-Star. Other games going on tonight of interest in this area. Mets and Braves, the Braves and Nats, battling for the NL East right now as of checking the standings right now as we speak. Still tied right now in the NL East, and that's a 36-27 record. That's a .571 winning percentage, and the Braves a 37-28 record. That is a .569 winning percentage. The Nats and Braves right now tied in the East. I think the Braves are a big shock to everybody, how well and how long they've been playing well throughout this year. Other games tonight going on, the Rockies will go to the city of brotherly love. They will take on the Phillies. That's a 7:05 game tonight. The Red Sox are back in Baltimore. We'll recap last night's game here in a few moments. That's a 7:05 game. And the Pittsburgh Pirates go out to Arizona for a 9:40 first pitch against the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Orioles lose a rough one last night. They were the only local team to play last night and really blew an opportunity to end a 4-game skid. The Orioles, we talked about it yesterday, are playing historically bad baseball right now. They are right now on pace to be one of the 20 worst teams in MLB history, on pace to be the 17th worst team in MLB history in the modern era. That's since the turn of the century in 1900. Last night, it took 12 innings, but the Boston Red Sox do get the victory. A sacrifice fly in the 12th scored Xander Bogart. That was the only run the Red Sox would need. Jackie Bradley hit another sacrifice fly. That would make it a 2-0 victory for the Orioles. The Orioles have lost 12 of 14 and now 5 straight. 12 of 14. This is an Orioles team that I don't want to say had amazing expectations this year, but I don't think anybody was expecting the O's to be this bad with the offensive power they have. Again, not an extremely talented offensive team, but an offensive caliber team that under Buck Showalter, you always expect to score a lot of runs. And yesterday put themselves in a position to win, but as Buck Showalter has said throughout the year, you got to score runs to win, and that's just really not what they're doing right now. Dylan Bundy, though, pretty good back-to-back starts for Bundy. 2 starts in a row for him where he has not allowed a run. He went 8 innings last night, only gave up 3 hits, 2 walks, and struck out 7. That's not too bad of a night for Dylan Bundy. That's a night that probably 95% of the time, if you're a starting pitcher and you lead with those stats, 8 innings pitched, 3 hits, 2 walks, and 7 Ks, 95% of the time, you're probably going to get a win out of that. You're probably setting up your closer and you're going to get a win. But Dylan Bundy did not get the win last night. Again, back-to-back games for Bundy not allowing a run. So not a bad couple of games for Dylan Bundy. He just needs some consistency around him in any way, shape, or form. Michael Givens gets the loss on record for the Orioles last night as Bundy left for that no decision. Givens now 0 for 3 on the season. Stephen Wright started the game for the Red Sox. He went 6 2/3, 4 hits, 5 Ks, and did walk 3. So 2 pretty good starts, which is what you expect from a game that went into the 12th inning. And then Heath Hembree gets the W for the Red Sox on the night. So, again, the Orioles fall last night, and they're just falling hard. All right, we got to get in another break. When we come back, we will hear from Jared Fabian of the West Virginia Mountaineers. We will air an interview that he did with Matt Miller a few weeks ago, a couple months ago actually now, giving you details on a WVU baseball camp that is coming to the Panhandle, coming to Martinsburg tomorrow night. So if you're looking for a camp for your kids, and it's a relatively cheap camp, and you're not doing anything tomorrow night, make sure you stay tuned in for the information. You're listening to Miller Time on Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
We hadn't hit the brakes, we had no idea. Paradise was hiding right here.
The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building is now open. This new 3-story, 40,000 square foot facility is conveniently located off Interstate 81, exit 20 at the intersection of US 11 and Campus Drive. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills medical office building features many different offices and services for area residents. It's now home to urgent care, women's imaging center, lab services, and primary care pediatrics. The WVU Medicine Spring Mills office building now open to serve you.
As Asanovich goes to second for the 2 RBI double, and Martinsburg is on the board first.
This is West Virginia State delegate and former Little League All-Star Jason Barrett. I can still remember those summer days, the fun of playing baseball, building friendships, and learning lessons that are still with me today as I serve the people of the 61st District. I'm proud to support this year's All-Stars and wish the best to each team.
61st District Delegate Jason Barrett. Trusted leadership, real solutions.
Since 1877, Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies have proudly supported our local community. Farmers and Mechanics has the insurance products to meet your needs, including home, auto, farm, dwelling fire, business owners, and umbrella coverage. Please contact your local independent agency for a review of your insurance needs and ask for a policy from the company that knows you best. Farmers and Mechanics insurance companies, just off Edwin Miller Boulevard on Administrative Drive in Martinsburg. FMIWV.com. EPTA invites you to take advantage of their rider programs, the $5 all-day pass, the monthly pass, and the Get a Job, Get a Ride program. Visit EPTAWV.com for further details and come ride with us. This message brought to you by EPTA, the Eastern Panhandle Transit Authority. For schedules and rider information, visit EPTAWV.com. EPTA serves Berkeley and Jefferson counties.
Take a bus, come ride with us.
The Honda 4th of July sales event has brilliant deals on our most popular vehicles, like the Civic, Fit, and Pilot. It's a reason to celebrate across the country, from the Liberty Bell to Hollywood, and even back up to Niagara Falls. So come discover the 2018 KDB.com Best Overall Brand during the Honda 4th of July sales event, now at your Honda dealer.
Miller Honda, south of Winchester, home of the lifetime powertrain warranty. www.mymillerhonda.com.
Based on 2018 brand inventory from Calgary Playbook, visit KDB.com for more information.
And welcome back aboard the Crazy Train, or Miller Time, whichever one you want to call it tonight. Matt Crawford here with you solo, as Matt Miller is out for the week playing construction worker at his house. Some may call that a summer vacation. That's what he's calling it, whatever you want to call it, Matt. Matt Miller's out for the week, and I will be with you on your ride home from Miller Time from 5 to 6 each night this week. Don't forget Washington Nationals baseball coming up tonight, 6:30 pregame right here on Talk Radio WRNR, 7 o'clock first pitch from the Bronx as the Nats take on the Yankees in some interleague play. All right, we're going to go back in the archives a little bit and replay for you a interview that our own Matt Miller did with Jared Fabian, the director of camps for WVU. He did this a couple months ago when it was first released that WVU was going to be bringing their baseball camp to the area. And with the camp coming up tomorrow evening, starting at 5:30, I figured we would rehash some of this information in case you're looking for some last-minute camp ideas. A really good opportunity. It's at Oakdale Park tomorrow night, but I will save all the rest of the details for Matt and Jared. So here is that interview with Jared Fabian on the WVU baseball camp coming to Martinsburg tomorrow evening.
On June 13th, West Virginia University Baseball is going to be hosting an opportunity for youth baseball players, any and all ages, to come out to Oakdale Park and participate in a full grouping of activities in order to continue to develop their skills in baseball. We will have a number of different West Virginia University baseball staff members in attendance, each having their own areas of expertise, ranging from catching to pitching, infield and outfield. So if you are a youth of any age and you are looking for something to do on Wednesday, June 13th, the time is going to be from 5:30 to 9:30 over in Oakdale Park. Please come and join us.
Again, you said 5:30 to 9:30 p.m. So does that mean, let's say a local player is both a pitcher as well as a shortstop? Will they be able to maybe attend both sessions, or will they all kind of go on at the same time?
We're going to have everything going on simultaneously. We are not going to limit anybody to just one particular position. We'll have it separated out in the different time slots. So if you are a pitcher or a two-way guy, you play a position as well as pitch, then you'll be able to work out at both positions. This is not about West Virginia University baseball. It is about the youth coming to participate and really honing in on their skills. So we want to give them every opportunity to get better if they have the passion to do so.
Is there a cost, and how do players register so that they can take part?
So for the camp on June 13th, cost for participation is $50 per player, and you will be able to sign up or register online through WVU Sports, or you could go to the WVU Baseball website online and click on the Camps tab, and that will then get you to a screen where you'll see all our different camp options, and you'll look for the one on June 13th, Martinsburg at Oakdale Park.
You mentioned June 13th. It sounds like this will be that traveling camp. How many stops do you make around the Mountain State?
Right now we have 3 scheduled. We're going to be at Point Pleasant High School. We'll also be at Huntington High School and then Oakdale Park, and those are all in June. And we're currently working on getting one going in Charleston as well. So if there's any other opportunities out there where we have a need to get WVU baseball into that town near you guys, please feel free to contact me. You can also ask questions, or I can help you through the online registration process. Or even if you just want to talk baseball, feel free to email me. My name is Jared Fabian. I am the travel camp coordinator here with West Virginia University Baseball. And my email is J as in Jared, Fabian, F as in Frank, A, B as in boy, IAN as in Nancy, at mail.wvu.edu.
Jared, one final question, and that's just the enthusiasm around these camps. So give us an idea of what it's like for these players to be able to teach the next generation that looks up to them and what they're doing playing for WVU, and to have that chance to, work with these kids. It's got to be a fun time.
It is a blast, and I can speak on experience. I was a graduate of West Virginia University. One of our other staff members who'll be there actually played baseball here at West Virginia. So he was here during the transformation between the Big East and the Big 12. So he's been through it. We have another staff member here who played at the University of Iowa, and he is all West Virginia through and through. All of us combined, we try and bring our energy and passion, and it feeds off to all those that we come in contact with. We have just an absolute blast out there. We do like to compete on the baseball field. That is a big part of it. But at the same time, we're in it for the love of the game, and we want those that come out to really enjoy their experience and have a good time with us.
Jared, thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the best, and we'll get the word out about the camp.
Thanks, Matt. I really appreciate you for having me on.
Again, that was Jared Fabian. Matt Miller recorded that with Mr. Fabian. That was on Miller Time a couple months ago, but just wanted the opportunity to get that back out there. So if you're a parent or if you're a grandparent and you're looking for any sort of camp for your youngster tomorrow night, $50 a kid, go get some lessons by some, I don't want to say professionals, but I guess with the guys teaching, they are professionals in a way at the collegiate levels, and it's a one-night only camp here in Martinsburg, but it is a very good opportunity to get some some midsummer training for those young baseball players. All right, we got one more short commercial break to get in. When we come back, we're going to go to football for the last couple minutes of today's Miller Time. You're listening to Talk Radio, WRNR Martinsburg.
Jenny's husband was killed by a drunk driver.
I'm all alone now. How can I raise 3 children?
My dad isn't here to coach me in baseball.
My dad was going to walk me down the aisle.
Drinking and driving takes a heavy toll beyond the roadways. Make a plan. Call a friend, parent, Uber, or cab. Stay overnight. Don't drink and drive.
Brought to you by Herbert Hoover High School, West Virginia Alcohol Beverage Control, and ABCA, State Farm, West Virginia Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Well, I told you we were talking some NFL coming back after our last break, and I think you can guess which team we're talking about based on the music that we just came back to. We're going to D.C. for another big event that happened today. I don't know why they would plan these things on the same day, although I guess we're going more to Ashburn out in Redskins Park. But today is a day that also, to go along with the other big D.C. sports event that happened today, has been a long time coming. The Washington Redskins today gave Super Bowl rings out to members of the replacement squad of the 1987 season. For those of you who don't know what those replacement players were, back in the 86 season, 87 Super Bowl, there was a player strike. There's been several player strikes. Even in recent history, there's been player strike where there's been work stoppages. Luckily, we haven't missed any actual game time recently. They redid the collective bargaining agreements so that wouldn't happen. But back in the late 80s, the Redskins missed some games, and unlike in the 1982-83 season, there were replacement players allowed. There was a work stoppage for the Redskins' first Super Bowl team back in the 82-83 season. So the running joke is that the Redskins can't seem to win a Super Bowl when there's a full NFL season, but I don't like to believe that one. Anyway, I digress back to the point I was making before this. Those replacement players that came in and won 3 games, including one in Dallas on Monday Night Football against the arch rival Cowboys, had never received Super Bowl rings. These guys won 3 games, beat the Cowboys in Dallas, and the Cowboys then had enough players that crossed the picket line. So they had their normal starting team for the most part, and they were playing guys that hadn't played professional football, some before that, others in several years. Those players, because of how the Redskins' normal squad saw them as being somebody who took their job and was trying to fill their shoes, those players didn't like the replacement players all that much, so there was never any urge to give them Super Bowl rings. So after enough time had passed, some of those players, including greats like Dexter Manley, Jeff Bostic, Redskins, big names in their Ring of Honor, 70, 80 greatest Redskins, they decided that it was time for those replacement players who were very vital in the Redskins even making the playoffs that year. It was time for them to get their Super Bowl ring. So today, all of those replacement players got the exact same ring that all the other Super Bowl champions got. So it was a long time coming, and some local ties even in this ceremony today. Wayne Wilson, a former receiver and assistant coach at Shepherd University, was on that Redskin replacement team. So some local ties thrown in there with the Redskins today. So again, a long time coming for those replacement Redskins. All right, that's about all the time we have for today's Miller Time. Washington Nationals baseball coming up at 6:30 with the pregame 7 o'clock first pitch. We will return to NBC Sports Radio for the next half hour. Tune in tomorrow night with me right here from 5 to 6 for another edition of Miller Time. You're listening to Talk Radio WRNR Martinsburg.
Now your local news from Talk Radio WRNR. Sunday night, Jefferson County Sheriff's deputies were dispatched to Marlowe Road and Don Quixote Drive in Charlestown for an accident involving a dirt bike. When they got there, they found the bike lying in the grass and a man in the intersection being attended to by EMS personnel. 29-year-old Garrett Eberhardt of Charlestown was pronounced dead at the scene. The initial investigation finding